Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chats with Chelsi. I'm so excited. Today I have someone that I have known probably for about 15 years on the show.
Probably longer than that. It's probably been longer than that. It's probably been about 20 years.
I know, I didn't want to tell my age.
Oh,
Ladies, just one. Ladies, join me in welcoming Amanda Spann. She is a publicist, an entrepreneur. She is a businesswoman, and we're really going to get the chance to get to know her today. So, Amanda, welcome to Chats with Chelsi.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, let's just put it out there. We went to middle school together.
Yeah.
And I don't think that maybe 18 years. At least give me 18.
Yeah, 18. 18.
And so that's where I met Amanda, and both of our lives and our journeys have led us into different paths. And so today, Amanda, I'm excited just to hear more. I've been following you over the years, but to hear more about what you've been doing. You're very vocal on Facebook. And I just think that you're going to be an incredible blessing to the women who are watching here today. So tell us, how did you start in the tech field? Many who know your name, one of the ways that they know you is through the apps that you've built.
Yeah, so I started as a technology publicist about 9 years ago. I actually started my career in entertainment PR and then made the leap over to tech. And I always had like an interest in technology, but because I didn't go to school for, IT or computer science, I kind of felt like I couldn't be involved in the space. But the more I did research, I realized that there were so many different roles in technology and that the space is really, really dynamic. And there's a lot of transferable skills. So, I started to think that, a lot of these tech products that are popping up, they're going to need marketing and promotions as well. So I started educating myself on, mobile marketing, on how to promote and build products. And then I just started to, either pick up clients or just do apprenticeships. So, reaching out to people who I saw were making moves in the space and saying, hey, can I shadow you? Can I learn more about what you're doing? I'll work for free. And just putting in a massive amount of hours to ensure that I was gradually becoming like a subject matter expert.
My brain began circling when you shared that you started working for free. How did you do that and still live though?
Oh, I was struggling. I had a job by day that gave me some flexibility because it was remote. So my boss at the time, and I actually still do a number of projects with her, was based out of Atlanta. And then I did contract work with her. And in addition to being in school. So I would, do work during the day for her. And then I would, if I had some breaks within my schedule or whatnot, because I kind of controlled that to some degree, I would use that time to pick up other projects or, just learn from people or going into an office. At night, I went to school.
Okay.
And then on the weekends, I got my master's at Georgetown, so I went to night school there. And then on the weekends, I was back at it, putting in hours to learn more about working with assorted products.
And how long did you do that? How long did you beat the pavement? And really,
I'm still beating the pavement. It's just like, technology evolves so quickly. It's just an uphill climb, and you're always, not pressed, but you always, you need to be a forever lifetime student, a forever learner. And so, I'm still figuring out ways to kind of best position my products and services and solutions so that they are best aligned with customers. So I don't think it's ever something that ever stops.
Okay.
But I would say like the grind was probably 3 years before it started to ease up on me.
Wow. What did you do for self-care during those initial years, and what do you do now?
I wasn't doing anything for self-care at the time. Like, I honestly, like, as just a woman, I'm just learning to practice self-care and self-compassion.
Mm.
And I think, both of those are really important in that I think we come from environments, especially as Black women, where, we don't celebrate our small wins as much as we should. One, two, excellence is expected of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't, it's never just like, oh, you did that, good job. It's like, okay, you did that, now what's next,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I feel
And
you. Yeah.
so it's this never ending cycle where you end up like a hamster on a wheel. And you're always running it. At some point you start to burn out, and that's essentially what happened to me. So I kind of had to take a hard reset over the past year and reassess, like, not only the projects that I wanted to work on, but how I wanted to work on them, the lifestyle that I wanted, and the life that I wanted to lead. And that, led to a lot of really painful sacrifices. But I'm grateful for it because I'm in a much better place mentally. I'm healthier, I'm happier, had to prioritize my body, had to prioritize my mind, and had to prioritize my relationships and, my spiritual grounding so that I could get back to a place where, I was putting myself first so I could in turn give to other people.
That's so good. Tell us, as you talk about self-care in terms of your body, what has that journey looked like? Has it been you changing your diet? Has it been more water?
So, I mean, I drastically changed my diet. I definitely cut out a lot of carbs, created a lot of carb substitutes. I mean, I would like to say I'm keto, but I cheat a lot. Honestly, I'm not one of those people who, can stick to it religiously. Like if I go out, I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to have, bread.
Yeah.
But it's just about in moderation. So it's just about making healthier changes. It's, replacing those potatoes as a side with spinach or, some vegetable you love. So just small, subtle changes that increase healthier habits, and then making exercise a priority. Like I try to go to the gym at least, 5 times a week. Sometimes I don't make it. Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
I'm not doing anything crazy rigorous. Like, there are people who are like gym rats. I'm not that person. Like I might go to the gym and run for a little while and maybe do some like really flu exercises, but I'm not, 2 hours bench pressing, all the machine. Like I'm doing the bare minimum because I feel like I'm just trying to stay in shape. Plus I am trying to eat well. So with the combination of those two, like I feel like I've done all I can do. Like I'm not gonna beat myself up about my diet. Like that's a big part of the self-compassion part. Like I'm doing the best I can, right? Like, and I think we're very very hard on ourselves in regards to I'm not a perfect size 2, or I haven't seen the progress that I want, and I realized I was gonna run myself crazy with trying to keep up with myself. Now, I'm not even in competition with other people. I don't look at other women or even people as much and just say, oh, I wish I was her. I just want to be me. It's the best version of it. But like, I can't, if I put, unrealistic expectations of myself all the time, then I'll never measure up, and I'll find my self-esteem and self-worth dwindling because I've just set the bar too high.
I think that's so real, and that's something that so many women need to hear and be reminded of. That this journey is truly it's a marathon. It's not a race, and so there's going to be some times where we are moving really, really fast, and times where we're moving slow, and to be okay with that in the different seasons of life. So one of the things I saw when I was preparing for the interview was that Black Enterprise named you one of 5 future leaders in tech, as well as you have other awards and accolades from other magazines and news outlets. I mean, how has that been recognized nationally and globally for the work you're doing?
It's always a pleasant surprise when those things happen. It feels rewarding. Like someone recognizes your work. Cause I mean, a lot of times you're in the weeds, right? Like you're working in your business and on it at the same time, and your head is down, so you don't know, like, you don't see other people looking and watching you. You're not paying attention to it, right? I'm not one of those people who, build my products or do the things I do because I per se want fame. I would rather, be, I guess, famous to famous people for being good at what I do.
That's good.
But not necessarily, I'm not one of those people who is like, oh, I need to be popping, like I need to be in every magazine and things like that. I do enjoy like speaking and making speaking appearances and things like that, but I'm not so pressed to do that. And that came over time too, because I think there's a pressure for a lot of entrepreneurs, not necessarily in the tech space, but just in general, people who are just doing interesting things, to feel like if they're not Insta famous or if they're not in every magazine or blog, then they're not doing well. But I mean, I know entrepreneurs who were on the cover of magazines and they made $500 that year, and that's the reality of running a business, though. Like, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. And, it's smoke and mirrors. A lot of this stuff that you see on the internet and you see in publications is smoke and mirrors. I mean, it's still rewarding. It still feels good. Like, everyone likes to be, patted on the back for doing what they do and doing it well. But, for me, it's just like I still have a long way to go, and I have to constantly remind myself, would you rather ask myself rather, would you rather have a multi-million-dollar business and never be featured in a publication again, or would you rather be Insta famous? And that's the perspective I take on those publications. It's like, okay, that's dope, that's great, I'm happy, but I'm really focused more so on like making my business an actual success as opposed to looking like it's successful.
As you were talking, that's just another nugget for the women who are watching. But I can totally relate because of the fact that when I started out in politics, I was recognized nationally for some things. But what most people did not realize was that, yeah, it was cool to be recognized by BET and all these other entities, but I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't even getting paid for some of the speaking that I was doing. And so, I love that question that you asked yourself. And I think that we should ask ourselves that more, especially in a world today where social media is where we spend more time than we eat, more time. It's right up there next to the amount of time that people watch television. And so that's so critical for, build your business, Amanda. I want to say I know a multimillionaire.
I'm trying to get there, but it's a climb.
So when you started out for those 2 or 3 years when you were grinding, I want to dig deeper into how did you do it? What was your, we talked about there was little self-care, but what was your motivation to keep going and to teach yourself something that you were not formally trained on, by doing these apprenticeships and doing the research? Like, what was that motivation that kept you going?
I think the biggest thing is that I just had a vision that this was going to be big. So like at the time when I was pursuing these things, like I don't think like Instagram existed yet. Like a lot of the products or services that we know now and are hugely popular now didn't exist. But I was just like, no, this is something. It's going to be something. And I love the idea that people were just building things from scratch. And so, when I was pitching it to a lot of people, I remember even making the transition from entertainment to tech. I remember talking to a woman who ran an organization called Women in PR, and I was kind of struggling because I was like, how do I make myself stand out? I'm in an organization called Women in PR. There are literally hundreds of women who do PR. Like, how do I make myself stand out? And I was like, I got to go a different lane. And so at first I was thinking, oh, I'll do business PR. But then I was like, oh, like I always had this itch of like, I really want to be involved in technology. And I just don't know how or where to start. And so I was like, okay, well, start where you are, right? Like, you are a publicist. Some of these tech companies are gonna need publicists. You already have the skill set that they need. A lot of these people, you know, aren't marketers. They don't know how to get their brands out there. They don't know how to build a following around their company. So use the skill set you have and learn a little bit more about the space every single day to make yourself the best version of it possible. And so at the time, I mean, because the space was so young, um, I was probably one of the only Black technology publicists in the country. I probably still am one of the only like marketing and branding consultants for tech products.
Wow.
But you know, I wasn't doing it because I wanted to be the first. I just, I think it was just hard times at the time. I mean, it was the recession. We were still coming out of the recession, or it was around the time of the recession, and it was just like, okay, well, I got to figure something out here, right? Like I had jobs and things like that, but like none of them were paying as much as I would have liked. I feel like a lot of people came out of 2008, 2009, just kind of figuring out, like expecting jobs, but really having to figure out something, like having to create a job for themselves. And so, I was fortunate in that I had a few really great roles, but I also, knew that if I was going to sustain myself and make a name for myself and not get pigeonholed into, being, you know, underpaid and overworked, that I would have to carve a lane for myself, and tech was that for me.
And that is what you have done. You have definitely carved a lane for you. So what would you tell other young women who want to be publicists?
It's a lot of work. So first, know that if you're not a person who if you don't like doing grunt work, or I mean, nobody really likes doing grunt work, but you have to be the type of person who doesn't mind doing grunt work, because at its core, PR is tedious. It is something that is, I think organically publicists are women. There's not just women; there are men publicists too, but typically I've worked with mostly women publicists. Most publicists are um, do it all type of people. They're fixers. They are the Olivia Popes types that you could tell them any problem and they're going to remedy it. And we end up wearing a lot of hats. So even though there's supposed to be different roles for people, there's supposed to be a manager, there's supposed to be a booker, a lot of times the publicist ends up wearing all of those hats. So not only are you responsible for media relations and managing these relationships and securing press placements, but you are often managing artists, entertainers, tech products. You are booking them. You are planning events. So it is, all things, media, marketing, entertainment, events. You're all rolled up into one, and it can consume your life. And I don't want to make it sound terrible, but I want to give people the realities of it. I mean, it's honestly, PR is the first career I fell in love with, and it was so incredibly rewarding for me to get my clients placed in these magazines, because these are people's dreams. These are people's businesses and things they've poured their whole life savings into. And so for them to see their product featured in Black Enterprise or featured in Forbes, they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. And it's an incredible experience in that you're helping people further and actualize their dreams. But the work is hard. The work is long. You're going to swing probably 100 times before you get 2 hits. And it is very relationship driven. So you have to spend time curating real relationships with people to get the placements you need to, help your clients. So it is, it's a very, very tedious job. It could be thankless. A lot of times your clients don't appreciate you the way they do. But then some, on the flip side of it, some of your clients are like, oh my God, I love you and you are my best friend and I treat you like family. So a lot of people, like even like, I don't know if you saw the whole situation with Cardi B recently and her publicist that helped her husband arrange that surprise for her, which was awful, on stage. And she was just like, people were saying she should fire her publicist. And she was like, my publicist is like my family. Like, she's been with me since day one. She's gotten me opportunities that I could have never dreamed of, or I never could have achieved on my own. And so you really end up building close relationships with your clients in that regard. So it can, this is a really interesting experience, but long hours, very tedious. But if you love it, you love it. Like some people are just built for it, some people aren't. Huh?
And it can be rewarding.
Yeah, it can be. It can be extremely rewarding. It can be extremely fulfilling. But you just have to like the nature of the work.
Yeah.
So I don't even like. I mean, I am a publicist by trade, but I don't even identify as a publicist anymore. If anything, now, I mean, I've expanded a lot more away from just doing traditional media relations to, doing branding and marketing consulting. So if anything, I would identify as like a full stack marketing consultant now. But I'm still a PR girl at my core.
Well, I thank you for being real. Tell me, what would be your advice to young women who want to get into tech?
I would say for tech, it's okay to start where you are and to not be intimidated by the space. I'm seeing a lot more women who are being more industrial and scrappy about getting started, and that's great. Just know that, there's room for everyone. Don't get discouraged by all these tales of discrimination in tech. Yes, that exists, but the fact that, you are a woman is an asset. If you're a Black woman or a brown woman, that is even more of an asset because you have a unique perspective that isn't seen at many tech companies. So, you want to leverage that and your know-how, your expertise, your experiences, and culminate that into a skill set that is in demand. And I think it presents a really unique opportunity for us to really position ourselves and to build new companies that can be the wave of the future. Like, the landscape of this country is changing as far as the demographic makeup. And so, it's never been a better time for, Black women to, involve themselves in a space that they can really carve and make their own.
Tell us about some of the apps that you have built, and your company is Happy.
Yeah, so that's the umbrella that I built my apps under, Happy. So two of the apps that I'm working on currently, I'll talk about those, but the other ones, we'll just focus on these two for now. But one is called Culture Crush. It is a dating app that helps you search by eligible Black singles by nationality, ethnicity, or tribe anywhere in the world. So let's say you are a Nigerian man who is in a remote part of New Jersey. You can find a woman of your tribe in proximity to you. Tribal dating is still pretty big in lots of parts of West Africa. So for people who are in the diaspora and who, have immigrated over, that could be a really big thing because they still want to adhere to, cultural customs. We actually just had our first wedding from the app, a Nigerian couple in New Jersey.
Congratulations.
Example. Thank you. So they're both nurses, living in New Jersey. They got married on December 2nd. So really nice couple. And the second app is called Tip-Off Game. It is essentially a culturally conscious version of Taboo. So word guessing game for the culture. You select different word categories to customize your game, and then the game rotates around everyone's phones. So it's literally just like Taboo, except you have different word categories. So we have like HBCU categories. We have a church category, so you could play it at Bible study. Yeah. We have, let's see what else, like a 90s pack, an Atlanta pack, so city specifics packs as well. But it's a lot of fun. A lot of people really, really enjoy playing it. So we are pretty excited about that. The app is actually in the process of an overhaul right now. We're making a lot of big changes to it to give it a better experience. And hopefully, facilitating a couple brand collaborations. So we're pretty excited about the next steps for that.
And so through Happy, your umbrella in which you create apps, are you let's dive in. Do you come up with these ideas and then there is this engineer somewhere who builds it? Like how tell us how that all works.
Yeah, so I mean, from concept to creation, what happens is oftentimes either I have an idea or someone approaches me about an idea, and I'm like, hey, that's I like that idea, and I think that's a real problem that needs to be solved. If the problem isn't big enough for me, or I don't think it's something that affects people on a day-to-day basis, or something they may pay for, a big enough problem for them to pay for, then I probably won't pursue it. I previously had an IT partner, like a co-founder who I worked on all my projects with, but he's since left to work on other projects. So I do have a team of developers that I work with. And because I've worked in and around the space for so long, I often just manage the project. So I know how to speak to developers, like almost like, I don't know. It's just speaking another. It's like another form of literacy, almost being able to communicate with developers about what you want built and how you want it built, and working with them through those steps to ensure that we're going to deliver a product that not only works, but that is customer friendly and that people can actually use. Because oftentimes with developers are just highly technical people.
Mm-hmm.
They're focused on the beauty of the beauty of the product as opposed to how functional it is and how people are going to use it in real time. So I always have to be mindful about helping people think through that and getting us to the finish line of projects.
Wow. What has been one of your favorite, if you have one, a favorite app that you've helped build?
I don't know if I have a favorite. They're all my babies, but Culture Crush and Tip Off have both been really rewarding apps. So it's been a very big process of getting them off the ground and acquiring users. So it's just very rewarding, and I enjoy every step of the way, even the days that are a little hard.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some hard ones. So if I recall correctly, you spent some time in corporate.
I did.
What was that like?
So I mean, my corporate experiences are a little different than most people's, in that I've typically worked in environments where my job involved marketing to startup communities or to developers. Because of my experiences outside of corporate, a lot of the work in corporate has been figuring out how to help corporations properly target, these new era of tech entrepreneurs, developers, founders, and help them to provide them with tools to become better founders or to enable their technology. So I'm not a huge fan of corporate. I don't like rules. I kind of like doing whatever I want. I think that's kind of always been my thing. And so I mean, quite frankly, I've struggled in corporate because, a lot of places you have a culture where it's like, oh, we've always done it this way and this is how we do it. But, I have to question and challenge, well, does this make sense? And are we doing this out of habit, or are we doing this because it's actually effective? And people don't always like when you pose those questions. So, but they're necessary questions because, doing a lot of these things can be a time suck.
That's true. I mean, those are definitely important questions to ask. I think not only for for us who may be in corporate or just outside of that entrepreneur role, but in our own lives. To to be self-aware. You know, you talked about self-care, self-compassion, but also self-aware of where we are and what we're doing. You mentioned earlier, since we've been chatting, you know, that you've done speaking. Tell us how you got started on the speaking circuit. I mean, you are featured in a number of bureaus, speaking bureaus that I saw. So what's that been like for you, Amanda?
It's really exciting. I mean, I honestly love to speak to people. And I just try to be as authentic as possible. Because a lot of times when see people on these panels, they're giving these speeches, they're really professional and they're really just really poised and put together. And I'm just that person who's like, no, this has sucked. It was hard, y'all. Like, think about if you really want to do it. Like, and someone needs to be that person for people. I think, I don't want to say I'm the queen of keeping it 100, but it's just like, what people really need to hear, I feel like more times than not, is like authentic experience of like what happened to someone and like what their journey was like. And you need to hear it from someone who not only looks like you but shares a similar background to you. You need to hear it from your cousin and them,
Right.
or your sister and them. Like, you don't need to hear it from this person who, was born wealthy and had everything handed to them, and like, their rich uncle gave them their first job. Like, you need to hear it from somebody who's like, okay, like, no, I built this from scratch. This is what I did. This is where I'm at with it. It's still not where I want it to be, but this is what I'm going to do about it. And to share those experiences, so when people encounter those things, they know how to navigate them, or they have some idea that someone has overcome this
That's
first.
so good. Yeah. And that they're not alone, and they're not alone, and it's whatever that is isn't something new to, the field or the process, the journey.
Absolutely.
Amanda, so I want to know, what books would you recommend to aspiring entrepreneurs to help them on the journey?
Well, I think the book that like every entrepreneur, especially tech entrepreneur, reads is like The Lean Startup. Um, and it is by Eric Ries, and it's kind of like this. I don't want to say a startup Bible, but it's like this the basic book where everyone reads it to kind of give you the ins and outs of like how to build a product in a fast and efficient way, or not even, I won't even say fast and efficient way. And it gives you insights into what the industry is like, so that you know like what to anticipate if you're raising money, if you want to build a tech product, if you want to shy away from a tech product, if you just want to think about, your product development cycles. So it just gives you a basic foundation, and foundational knowledge that is beneficial, to translate and to play in the space.
Awesome. Amanda, I am so grateful that we've had this opportunity to catch up, but most importantly, to be able to share your journey. And again, as you said, you are authentic, you are transparent, and that's part of my mission and goal with Chats with Chelsi, is to have these conversations so that no matter what the industry is or the topic is, people can get a real perspective. Amanda, tell the Chats with Chelsi family how they can follow you, get in touch with you.
Yeah, so if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, amandaspann.com. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active, it's Instagram / the Amanda Spann. That's TheAmandaspann. And yeah, so you can reach me there.
Awesome. Amanda, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining me here for another episode of Chats with Chelsi. Ladies, thank you and have a great day.